Welcome to Fool's Key Tarot. I'm Ben, and this is a daily reading for Saturday, May 31st, 2025. Let's see what the cards have in store for us today. The Two of Swords. This can indicate indecision, a lack of clarity, unable to see what's really going on or see the consequences of making either choice that you're stuck between. The Tower in reverse. So this can be being stuck in a period of stasis or that calm before the storm. Finally, the Empress reversed. Major Arcana number 3. This can be a lack of creativity, writer's block. It can mean not having the resources that you need to produce what you are supposed to produce or what you want to produce. Maybe somebody who is supposed to protect you or shelter you is not showing up or is doing those things in the wrong way. So let's see. It looks like today you are going to face a difficult decision, and no matter what you pick, there's going to be a major change. So none of the options in this decision are to stay the same. And I think that what's happening is you're staying in this period of decision making and not going forward and choosing one of the options. And because of that, you are forestalling this major change that is about to happen, indicated by the Tower. Now, the key is that because you're stuck in this period of indecision, or maybe you don't feel stuck, but you have yet to choose one of the options. You're mulling it over. Maybe you do feel stuck, like you can't make a decision. Maybe you kind of know which one you are going to choose, but you haven't pulled the trigger. You feel reluctant to do that. And so this major change is being stalled out or not happening. And I think that different options that you have before you will lead to different major changes. So what is the major change that is going to happen is to be determined, because it will depend on what you choose. But you cannot avoid this major change after you make this decision. But while you are still making the decision, you're able to put off the major change. So you're in this moment of stasis where you have a choice before you, and no matter what you pick, it's going to lead to a major change. Now, if it doesn't seem like some of the options will lead to a major change, maybe one option looks like it would lead to a major overhaul or upheaval, and another option seems safer. But what the cards are saying is that in reality, every option will lead to a large restructuring or shift in the way that things are going forward. With the Empress in reverse over here, I think that you feel like you don't have enough information or resources to make this decision. You understand the stakes are high, which is why you are reluctant to make the final choice. And there is a resource or a point of view that you are missing. And that might be why you're stuck on the decision. Maybe you're aware that you're missing these resources or this information, and that's leading you to drag your feet with making the decision. It might be prudent to be waiting to make the decision. I don't mean to imply that it's bad that you're waiting to make the decision. If you are not aware of what you're missing, then that might be something that the cards are pointing you towards. If you already know what this Empress reverse card is indicating, which is a lack of support or tangible goods that are required or helpful to make the decision. This could be some type of metric that could be used to evaluate the options that you don't have access to the outcomes of those metrics. And the prospect of getting that in the near future before you need to make the decision is either difficult or maybe looks impossible. That you're afraid you're going to have to make this choice without getting access to those resources. And that is causing you concern, and it's part of why you are putting off this decision. And the cards are saying that unfortunately you might have to make this choice without all of that knowledge. At some point, you have to make the leap and you have to let the tower fall and you have to see what grows in its place. And without perfect information, there's going to be a level of chance and faith involved in that choice because you're not going to fully understand the implications of your decision. Now, that doesn't mean that gathering more resources or information wouldn't be helpful, but even if you do, you will never fully know the implications of any one choice. And there's going to be a certain amount of uncertainty and unpredictability that is going to result from any decision that you make. So I think what the cards are telling you is that there are more resources, or maybe there is a person who could help supply information or maybe help supply just the time needed to mull it all over. Maybe this person could forestall the necessity of the decision. Maybe you feel like there is a ticking clock and you're going to be forced to make a choice soon. And maybe there is a person or a resource that could help push that down the line a little bit, which could be helpful because you are still gathering information and you are still mulling it over. I don't think this is a decision that you should make lightly, but one thing that the cards are telling you is that it is going to be a decision that you might have to make without full information. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't gather more, but it does mean that at some point you will have to pull the trigger. And that might be soon, but there is still time, I think, to make the decision. You are going to have to figure out if that's hours or days or weeks or months, but look to an additional resource that you have yet to tap, because I think there's at least one major factor or resource that could help you make this decision. But once you have tapped the resources you can tap, even if it doesn't feel like enough, at a certain point you are just going to have to make the call. So put off the decision as long as you feel like you are gaining more information and getting a clearer picture of the future, but do not keep putting it off indefinitely, and certainly do not wait until you have all of the information and a complete understanding of the consequences, because that will never happen. So gather as much information as you can to be useful, and then make the best decision that you can, and then you're going to have to deal with the fallout, whatever that is. And there's going to be pain involved in that, because all change involves some amount of discomfort or pain. But once you make the call, understand that you made the best decision that you could at the time that you made it with the information you had, and deal with the consequences with that confidence in mind, that you made your choice and you're going to be able to build something new after this major change. It might take time, but whatever resource you are looking to help make your decision might also be useful after the decision. In fact, the way that both of these cards are reversed, makes me think it might actually be more useful afterwards. So maybe there's a resource that right now you're not getting a lot from, but once the decision is made, that resource will suddenly come into place and help you pick up the pieces and build the new future that is going to exist after you do pull the trigger and make your choice. So if you enjoyed this reading, then subscribe to see more. And if you'd like to learn about tarot cards or try some of my online guided readings, then head on over to foolski.com where you can check that out. Thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow.